Hey guys, in today's micro lecture, we're going to talk about the process of log rolling. So no, we're not talking about chopping down trees and rolling them. We're talking about when we need to roll our patients to assess their back or their spine and to get them into the back of the ambulance using a range of different items of equipment. So trauma is going to be something that you are going to come into contact with time and time again as a paramedic. When you are faced with trauma, you have a decision to make about whether or not you are going to immobilize the spine or not. Now, the good news is there's something called the NEXUS Criteria that will help you with this. Now, the NEXUS Criteria is a five-staged approach to working out if the patient needs to be immobilized or not. And the first stage in this log rolling process is to work out if it's even necessary. And the NEXUS Criteria will help you with that. So let's say you've gone through the NEXUS Criteria points and you've realized this patient does need to be immobilized. Now, the first thing you would do is take hold of the C-spine. So take hold of the head. There are different ways of doing this. For example, holding onto the shoulders and keeping the head still that way. And of course, C-spine immobilization should occur as early as possible. And in the primary survey mnemonic, airway and C-spine come together when you do that at the same time when you're managing the trauma patient. Once you've taken hold of the C-spine, you need at least two other people and possibly a third to slide the rescue board in underneath the person. Now here you can see one person holding the head, which is fantastic. Two people who are log rolling. Now look at what they're doing. They're nice and close to their patient. They're just holding on to the patient. There's no particular method here. All I would say here is just be very careful when it comes to holding on to an injury. So for example, if the patient's saying, I've got a pain here in the lower ribs, try and avoid holding that part of the patient. Sometimes as well, something that will increase the effectiveness is to cross your arms because it gives you a little bit more power and support of each other. So again, somebody on the head, two people close to each other, cross the arms, just hold on to a piece of the patient's clothing or their body. And it's generally speaking, the person at the top who gives the command, ready, brace, roll. Now, as I've said, you're going to need another person, a fourth person to slide the rescue board in. Now, just before they slide the board in, or whichever piece of equipment they're choosing, they would generally have a feel down the neck and the back, because on the secondary head-to-toe survey, when they're laying on their back, you can't feel down the back. So that's another thing that they can do. Also, just be mindful that when you are log rolling, you don't really want to be moving them this much. You only want to be moving them for approximately 15 degrees. Because if there has been any trauma and internal bleeding, and you start moving them, you could actually dislodge any clotting and allow the bleeding to occur. So you would never roll them this high, even when you're putting them onto a piece of equipment, which again is why you would choose the equipment carefully. Okay, so my name is Sam Willis, and that's a snapshot of log rolling your patient. I hope you've enjoyed this session. Thank you for your concentration.